안녕하세요. 저는 멕시코대사입니다. My name is Bruno Figueroa. I am the ambassador of Mexico in Korea. In 60 years, it's impressive how much our relationship has evolved between Mexico and Korea. I have studied the history of our relationship, and practically there was nothing in the early 60s, practically no communications between the two countries, no trade and economic exchanges between us, and of course, very little knowledge in Korea about Mexico and in Mexico about Korea. I had the great opportunity to inaugurate the direct flight between Mexico and Korea in 2017. And that has been a game changer in the fact that today, in only 15 hours, one person can take a plane in Incheon and in 15 hours be in Mexico City and vice versa. So distances have shrunk in all those 60 years dramatically. Communication now is instant and almost free. And so what we know and what we do between our two countries, our two people, is impressive. In the cultural sphere, we have inaugurated an exhibition in the National Museum of Korea on Aztecs. This is the first time such an important civilization of Mexican history is presented in Korea. We are talking about more than 200 artifacts, some that have never been presented even in Mexico. So it's a privilege for the Korean visitors to see themselves extraordinary pieces of art from the Aztec civilization, the people who moved the sun. That's the title that was chosen for this exhibition here in Korea. So it will be available to the public until the last days of August. So it can be enjoyed by many, many visitors. So this will be our key event in Korea, but there will be many other activities in, as I mentioned, in all areas, because in this anniversary, we are doing many activities in many areas. Yes, it's very interesting to note how much we are learning about each other currently, and the interest that has grew in the last years. Indeed, the roots of our interaction goes back to the first migration of Koreans to Latin America, and that happened in the Yucatan Peninsula in 1905. And currently there are thousands of descendants of these first migrants from Korea. There is also another historical episode, even though tragic, but I think it's important to remind our societies about the fact that around 100,000 soldiers of Mexican origin fought in the Korean War. They were all part of the American Army, and they combated here in Korea under the flag of the United Nations. But they were Mexicans or sons of Mexicans living in the United States, bringing the Mexican heart and soul here in Korea. So this is another factor of our past that we want to highlight and to remember. We will have an exhibition here in Korea at the War Memorial of Korea from June 28 to late August or September, where the Korean public can learn about the participation of those thousands of soldiers of Mexican origin in Korea. Coming to the present, Korea has currently a very dynamic community in Mexico. We are talking about around 15,000 people, mostly in Mexico City and in the Monterrey region. And so they are very visible. They brought their food, karaoke, norebang, that you find in Mexico or Monterrey. And so Mexicans are learning more and more about Korean culture and Korean food. And what is interesting here in Korea, even though the Mexican community is small, less than 1,000 people, and they are mostly students, I have witnessed in the last 5 years the interest in Mexican food. And there is no month where there is not a new restaurant opening in Korea. We decided to count those restaurants, and now we are around 250. So nowadays, I see how much Koreans love Mexican food, and they love to try different type of Mexican food, but especially tacos, which is maybe our most known dish all around the world. Well, definitely the taco, for several reasons. It's our mostly eaten dish in Mexico, but talking about taco is a whole universe, because it depends on the type of the tortilla that you use for the taco. Usually it's corn-based, but there are also tacos wheat-based. And then what you put inside the taco. If you put meat, if you put vegetables, if you put cheese, and also the type of sauce you add to the taco. It reminds me a lot about pancang accompanying Korean food. And so you can choose whatever you want at one precise moment. That's what you do with your taco. It reminds me so much about the Korean barbecue, where you use a lettuce leaf with your hand, and then you choose what you put inside. And then if you add gochujang or any other sauce, that's the same procedure with the taco. And maybe that's why for Koreans there is such an easy connection with that type of Mexican food. So that's what I would recommend. I also recommend to mix Mexican ingredients and Korean ingredients. We discovered that kimchi goes very well with, let's say, a beef taco, and then you put some kimchi, and it's very tasty. So there are many ways of eating tacos, and I would just say, explore it, taste it, and you will love it.